We've scheduled our spray foam guy to come and do some spray foam. It's in about a week and a half. They're going to be doing closed cell in some areas. Namely, they're going to do 5 inches of foam on the roof of the office here. They'll do 1 inch of foam on all 3 exterior walls of the office. They're going to do some closed cell on what's called the top plate here, even though we don't have a top plate. And that'll help air seal that kind of vulnerable area. And they'll do 1 inch of foam on the walls here, here, and up there. And that will close out the exterior walls of what's going to be an efficiency apartment. They'll also do some open cell foam in these boxed girts here. So this is just clearly a source of heat loss. So they're going to fill all that with open cell. Before we can have the foam guy though, we have to do a few more things. We have some joists to install. We have to block off the vent in that first small area there. And we're going to be using some 1/4 inch XPS foam. So with all those vents protected, they'll be able to spray foam right up against that. We're eventually going to be adding another chunk on this between those 2 purlins, and that will let the cellulose pack up against those vents without blocking them. But that's not essential at this point for the closed cell. So today, since we're getting snow, we're going to be working here inside the barn. We're going to be working on the ceiling joists, and we'll probably start closing off the area between the edge purlin and the first main roof purlin. So this 1/4 inch foam has a plastic liner on one side of it. And because of that, if you do a thin cut, you actually can get kind of a fold in it like this. So this will go up against the LSL here, which is the edge purlin, and the first main purlin, which is a 2x6. We'll be able to staple it into the furring strips, which are the flat 2x4s. And we'll be able to staple it along the edge against the LSL and the first purlin. And because we cut it slightly, there is some strength in this corner here. It's not monstrous, but some. With all the staples, this should hold back the expanding foam a little bit. Just in case, we cut little 1.5 inch foam blocks, and we'll use those kind of staggered between the furring strips to add a little extra pushback strength. So the expanding foam won't hopefully compress into the cavity, and we'll just use foam caulk or foam adhesive to hold these in place and so they don't slide around. It doesn't need a lot, really, just a little bit to tack it in place. So this is the cavity that's going to be getting the foam treatment. Just trying to seal in from here, up along here, and then across. That way we get more R value out of this limited amount of space. Also get a nice air seal in this vulnerable area of the building. There's air sticking through here. The soffit is right behind this guy. So there's a lot of benefit to the spray foam up here. The next two cavities are really for the cellulose, not for spray foam per se. The cellulose will be packed from about this level upwards. So it's not a full R60 right here. But by the time you get to here, it'll be the full R60. This side we did as well, just because with putting 16 inches in, it is likely to try to push over into the soffit, and we definitely don't want that. We also took a couple pieces of OSB, this is just zip sheathing, and cut it approximately to shape to block the soffits there and there. This is necessary, again, just to prevent the cellulose from getting pushed out into the soffits. The rest of these will remain open because that the level of the insulation isn't likely to get pushed in starting, you know, halfway up the sky. Hey, what do you think, Rotor Dog? Hi, babe. So we're done with the south side here. It turned out pretty well, and I think it's going to be strong enough to hold back the foam and cellulose. Plus, it's really nicely custom cut and fit in there really nicely. Just to recap, we added more here because the ceiling's going to be 2 inches taller, and the cellulose will likely go higher than in the other areas of the barn. Here we just did that segment there, and we went all the way across. On both sides, we blocked the opening to the soffits, and frankly, we could block it all the way up, but it should be fine with a little vent. I've heard that if you don't block it, it can interfere with the natural flow of air from the soffit to the ridge. I don't know. We blocked that, obviously, to prevent the cellulose from entering the soffits, and I was hoping to just leave the rest open. If you know better, one way or the next, let us know. Before we do the north side of the barn here, we're going to change gears and head out and actually put the soffit panels in on that west side there. So we'll start by putting the F channel along the edge there, then come back and install the soffit panels, starting at the corner here. Finally, we'll try to do the fascia that goes on the edge there. Yesterday we finished up with most of the soffit panels and we figured out an approach for the ridge here. We basically used a couple of these trim pieces and were able to secure them on the ridge line. There wasn't a nailing surface behind that though, so we cut pieces of 2x4, trimmed it down to the approximate length, and nailed it through. That should give us a nice surface to slide our panels into. Robert's cutting the panels right now, one for each side. It looks like this one might slide in perfectly. This one will likely have maybe an inch and some extra, so we'll have to cut another panel ever so slightly and slide it in there. Yeah, I think this will work. I think it'll look okay. It's not perfect like anything, but it should be fine. All right, let me show you how this looks. Nothing is as fun as a ladder on scaffolding. So this guy went in beautifully. As you can see, it terminated perfectly at the ridge. I mean, you're not gonna get any better than that. This guy, unfortunately, has a slight gap. So we're gonna need an 1 3/4 piece here and an 1.5 inch piece there. Should look fine. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna notice. So Robert's cutting it. This looks good. I mean, it's a little asymmetric, but it fits nicely and it blocks that area nicely, and I won't tell if you won't tell. Yeah, that looks fine, right? Do you think?
Yep. Looks okay.
We're pretty pleased with that. I think it turned out nice. The ridge isn't perfect, but it looks pretty good, and no one is gonna pay that much attention to it. The thing they're gonna see more readily is the corners, and the corners look fantastic. Everything lines up so nicely on the corners. That's where we decided to focus, and it's the thing that people are gonna see more than anything else. So yeah, we're pretty pleased with the way it went. And it's so nice to be done with this side. That is until the spring, but let's not think about that right now. That's a long way away.